So around 3 years ago, I went to my first major Rubik's Cube competition, which was the World Championship in Paris. And while I was expecting to make the finals relatively easily, I wasn't expecting much else. But then, this happened.
He was a DNF.
Yeah.
What about Gianfranco? Oh, Jack. Jack got a 24. I don't know if it's a successful one.
I remembered Felix coming up to me and telling me, "Congratulations, you're the world champion." But then I was like, actually, I failed that solve. And so the person standing next to him, who was keeping track of all the results on his phone, did some recalculations, and while I was sort of standing there, waiting in anticipation, he eventually told me, well, that means you instead came fourth. The fact that one small mistake was all that it took for me to not only fall off the winning position, but to barely miss out on the podium, like, that really sucked, and I remembered whining over that, like, mentally for a couple of weeks afterwards. But I think it was starting from around that time when I was like, hold on a second, I could become the best in the world at this thing. And then almost 2 years later, in April of 2019, I was having another bat at a world record essentially, and honestly, my warm-up at that day wasn't really good. Like, I didn't get to prepare for much time before I was called up, and my times were kind of mediocre, and I was kind of like, shoot, okay, I guess I'll just see where this goes. And so I did my first solve. The scramble itself wasn't anything too extraordinary. I did get to use like 2 shortcuts essentially to shave off a bit of extra time. But then I took the blindfold off and realized that I'd just broken the world record by 0.33 seconds. And then I proceeded to forget how to shake hands like a normal human being. And so, that brings me to the topic of this video. What's it like to break a world record? I'm going to split this up into 2 parts. The first part is going to talk about the cool things, which is going to be this video you're watching right now. And the second part, the unexpected things, which will come out in a future video. So be sure to subscribe and smash the bell thing next to the subscribe buttons. Anyway, cool thing number 1, I've achieved an end goal. Even though it feels like I got kind of lucky, it's still nice seeing like all my hard work and, you know, all those failures finally pay off pretty much in one moment. And the story I mentioned before pretty much covers that. So with that said, cool thing number 2, I got to go on TV. So my first appearance was on a big Australian TV channel, well, I think it was anyway, and I was set to showcase To the Land Down Under my mad skills at primetime, Monday at 10 AM. Since the hosts were in Sydney in a studio with like the generic, you know, talk show setup, and I was in Melbourne, they instead had to take me to this small room in some office somewhere, and I had to look straight forward to this like random camera in the distance, and the screen with all the stuff that was actually going on was like way off in the top right, so I couldn't see what the hell was going on. Anyway, I did my solve, didn't screw up, and achievement unlocked, I guess. I also got to go on a kids TV show, and while I didn't have to do a live solve or anything, but instead some other random antics, I honestly enjoyed that experience more. I think it was because it was a lot more chill, and it was really cool seeing the behind the scenes of, you know, this type of stuff I've seen in my childhood. Everything from the process of attaching a mic to myself to the big ass camera they had. They also had to put on makeup for me, which was kind of interesting. Very much high production quality vibes anyway. But I guess more importantly, the people I met were pretty damn cool, and it was pretty interesting to view things from a different perspective. So I guess while I don't have a specific bucket list, plus I think more people watch YouTube than TV nowadays anyway, it was still cool to do. Cool thing number 3, it's the ultimate flex. Like you hear of people saying, oh, I can speak another language, I can juggle, I am a doctor and not a disgrace to your family like you. But casually mentioning that I held the world record for the fastest time to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded, like in my head that's like a few magnitudes greater. Because knowing how to solve the Rubik's Cube is like flex tier number 1, then solving it in under a minute lets you reach flex tier number 2, maybe solving it blindfolded, flex tier number 3, add on a few more layers, and you got solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded in literally world record time. Like, I don't know, it has over the top vibes. Like, if someone were to ask me, oh, what's your biggest accomplishment in life? I just casually chuck it in. I think some people react like, whoa, wait, can you do that? And then there are the other group of people who don't react much because you don't see those words tied together very often. So I feel like the brain kind of goes like, I didn't really catch that. Presume it's something relatively cool and move on. Anyway, the point is, while I don't think you need to break a world record to do this or anything, I think it's like a nice way to sort of satisfy my inner ego. And it's like, why do I need a Lamborghini? Not that I wanted one anyway. When I had the world record for the fastest time to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfold. And cool thing number 4, I now know what it's like to truly master something. Once again, I didn't necessarily have to break a world record for this, but I feel like reaching the peak of one skill lets you kind of think, okay, I know how to get really good at this one skill, and maybe this will help me understand the general roadmap I need in order to improve at other skills as well. For instance, I learned Chinese when I was a kid and I was a pretty crappy student. Like, saying that gives me flashbacks to when I had to copy Chinese characters throughout all my school holidays, and I was just like, oh my god. And I remember playing with pencils. Like, I imagine like my pencils are having like some kind of sword battle on my table, and that'd be like how I'd pass the time. And I think that resulted me in failing Chinese and repeating a grade, where I then proceeded to fail again and like drop out. But 14 or so years later, around 2 months ago, I started learning it again on my own terms. And I feel like I'm mentally able to discard the myth that I made for myself that says I'm a total failure when it comes to learning Chinese, because I know that while that was what happened in the past, like I just kind of know I can start again, and that's just some narrative that I made up for myself. And I've kind of realized that the type of people that say, oh, you can't learn a language in adulthood, are probably the same type of people that say things like, only geniuses can solve Rubik's Cubes, or I can solve 5 sides, but I can't solve the last one. In essence, I'm recognizing a lot of those types of parallels, and I think it's helped me become better at learning skills in general. Since I've gone through them in another context already, even if it's something as obscure as solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded in world record time. So that covers a summary of the cool things that happened as a result of breaking the world record. If you'd like to see the second part, which will cover the unexpected things, be sure to once again subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel and like the video to tell the YouTube algorithm gods that you'd like to see more of this type of stuff. And yeah, in the meantime, bye.